Welcome, 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 everybody. This is when we're getting ready to get started. I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us today and let you know that we're going to have a live Q&A with Randall Baxter as soon as we're finished. So if you have any questions, jot them down, and after we're done, you'll have an opportunity to ask Randall and he will answer them for you. So happy to have you all here, and we're going to get started right now. Why you want to do the proper approach.
Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Some of you were in the webinar yesterday. Some of this is repetitive. Some of it's new. There's a lot of issues that I want to talk about today for you folks who want to be licensees and you current licensees. And so I hope you enjoy what we do today. I'm going to move a little faster than I did yesterday. And I think I'm getting ready to start. Everybody get your ears on, and we're going to talk today about the proper approach. And we've talked about it before. And I just want to let you know that I read a lot about things in the estate planning arena. And Eddie, welcome. You're going to some of this is repetitive for you, but you already knew that. But usually on Sunday morning, if I'm drinking a cup of coffee, I'll try and read, some things about estate planning, things that I might need to share this week. And I was looking through the Advisorist magazine. And I thought about, as an estate planning coach and trainer, it's important that I understand two things. I understand the motivations of both the retail buyer and the motivations of the financial services reps. And it's where those two things merge together that the most progress can be made for the client and the financial services rep, and the most good for the families. So, like I said, I was reading in Advisorist magazine, and this is what I learned. That a long time ago, when I started developing the family tree asset positioning go-to first interview, sometimes people ask me, well, why'd you do that? When I developed the interview, I also developed the training and the subscription to the Family Estate Doc software, and you're going to learn why I put that together here in just a minute. But a couple of things, and if I step back and look at the world, the whole world, and all the people running around just on Wall Street, thousands of people, or in a football game in the volunteer stadium, 100,000 people, I can automatically make this assumption. 48% of the people in that football stadium are going to avoid having difficult conversations with their partner, fearing a negative reaction and preferring to keep things light. And it's just a universal thought. So that's why I'm teaching my licensees the approach I recommend that you use. And we all start with our suspects, but you want your suspects to want to learn what they may not be aware of in their current estate plan, especially if they have the government plan. Those of you who are licensees and sitting on the sideline, or those who are potential licensees and sitting on the sideline, if you could just imagine 100,000 people walking by your door today, you can already assume that 48,000 of them would be interested in what you had to say immediately. 1 out of 2. And based on the research in the Advisorist magazine, research of 2,000 married adults revealed themes of illness and death were too uncomfortable for many to broach. And all I'm trying to say is, if you have an easy approach that allows them to place themselves in a situation to talk to you, the end result is this right here. Estate planning is needed by everyone. And most people haven't had the opportunity to have a conversation with a qualified presenter regarding how to make the decisions they want to make. And if there's anything out there, if you are sitting on the sidelines, if you think about how easy it is when people want an opportunity in the back of their mind, but nobody actually comes up and says, let me show you how to make these decisions. Because they all intend to get around to it one day. But 27% of all those people in the football stadium or couples would refuse to talk to the other half about how they'd like to be looked after should they get dementia. I've got clients right now that have dementia, and because of this system, we can talk about it when we sit down. Because every time I talk to my clients, one of the first questions I ask is, have you had a relationship change? Have you had an asset change? Or have you had a health change? So when you do get the opportunity to approach somebody about estate planning, this is why I ask you to explain the process in reverse. There has to be a proper mindset, and you have to be good at setting that mindset. And if you're no good at it, you won't be as effective. You won't be as profitable. And you got to remember, when you approach people, they already think the cost is going to be too high. And I have designed a sales system for you that takes care of all objections in advance, and it eases the fear that something might cost too much. And then you got to assume that, remember all those people walking by your house going to the football game? 19% don't want to address the subject of will writing. Well, that means 81% do. So, and me, I'm spoiled. I like to look into the Neyland Stadium and see 100,000 people in there. That tells me that there's 81,000 people in there that all they want is somebody to lead them through a conversation. You can be that person if you learn what to say and what to do. So sometimes when a serious topic is brought up, 42% of those people try to change the subject, but not if they're led into a situation, and not if they have already agreed to talk to you on a favorable basis. Which the hardest part of our whole business, our whole estate planning business is can you take someone that you think would benefit from a conversation with you and convert them into somebody who would talk to you on a favorable basis. Everything else is downhill. So those same people that don't want to have the relationship, those same people think that their relationship would be strengthened if they opened up and talked to somebody. Now think about this. I'll be honest with you. In the past year or so, there's been people that I have talked to about their estate plan, and I couldn't understand why they didn't want to act or why they didn't want to move forward. And it wasn't long after that I found out that they had filed for a divorce, or had a problem in their marriage, or murder-suicide or something. But if you're in a unique position where you have the ability to make an impact beyond zeros and commas, why don't you take it? Why don't you say, these people are going to benefit from a conversation with me, and they don't even know I want to have it with them. Why don't I just tell them? And if you get in that spot, and I've told you all have heard it a lot, but all of a sudden you're in the sweet spot where you have an advantage over your competitors. They may be just as good as you, but they haven't engaged your prospects and clients in the estate planning process. That's the advantage that you can have in the market. So, while couples might not always initiate sensitive topics like wills and long-term care and life insurance and finances, you can. And you don't have to walk up and say, hey, I want to talk to you about life insurance. That alienates some people, and that's also, people have a lot of fear of rejection because they're afraid they're going to approach somebody about a product, and if you do get rejected about that product, you might feel rejected about all products. Why do that? And here's the best part. Though couples don't want to initiate these conversations, most people report feeling closer with their spouse after having that conversation, but they still need someone to lead them through the process. That's what the Family Tree Asset Positioning sales presentation does. And as an advisor, this allows you to create positive associations with your clients, ultimately resulting in greater client satisfaction and loyalty. I don't know how many times I've seen the mom in the estate plan leave my office with their estate plan book, hugging it, so happy to have it. Maybe it's because they realized that their spouse was a little closer to the cliffs we talk about than they wanted to acknowledge in front of each other. But also, what I'm talking to you about is a process that opens the door to the back end sale. In the marketing world, I call it a no-brainer. Why would you not want to open the door to all the products that you might be licensed to sell in one conversation? That conversation is ongoing for the rest of that person's life. So I want to ask you folks that are here, why are you here? Why are you attending this webinar? And I'm going to give you some of the reasons I think you might be here. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure you're not here for all of them, but you may want to know more about how to add estate planning to your product or service portfolio. Well, it's easy. Just make a phone call and let's talk about it, and I'll help you with it. But you may have already taken the first step by acquiring access to the Family Tree Asset Positioning Go-To First Interview and Approach Plan Succeed ebook. If you don't have those books, send me an email. We'll talk about how to get them. One teaches you how to apply estate planning to your current business, and the other one teaches you many of the different family trees that you'll run into and why certain parts of the estate plan are important to those families. You may have already started my training process, and if you have, I'm glad. Welcome. And all you need to do is complete the knowledge base of vocabulary, and most of you already know it, but some of you don't. It's okay. We start where you are. Some of you want to learn the sales presentation. That's great. Most of you already know the sales presentation if you really thought about it hard. You just have to practice it a few times. And then the software mastery of what I think is one of the easiest pieces of software you might ever run into in your life. It's once you understand what's going on. That's what we're going to do here in a minute. I'm going to show you what's going on. But all these things that I'm just mentioned to you, the vocabulary, sales process, the software, everything's easy to learn and affordable. But maybe you want to be convinced your clients need and want you to provide this leadership and service. Let me tell you something. If you don't learn this, one of these days you're going to get a phone call and someone's going to go in and do an estate plan for your clients, and they're going to have control over all the business you've done because you didn't do it. You see, the advantage of adding estate planning to your product service portfolio and want to take the next step. Maybe that's why you're here. Maybe that's what you're investigating. And I don't care to tell you, there's lots of software you can buy, but you can't buy the training. There's not many people out there that know how to train this. And I don't sell it, I give it to you. So I just wanted to throw something out at you. You may just want to clear up the conflict concerning the unauthorized practice of law, because I get hit with that question all the time. Or in other words, what is it you're actually selling to your client, or could sell to your client? So I want you to look at a recent email I sent out concerning this issue. I sent it out this morning, and I hope most of you read it, and it looked like this. And a lot of times people ask me how do I address the issue where people think that I'm practicing law? And first of all, I just want to tell you, you're not. And it's already accepted, and I got this from one of the attorneys that wrote the software. It's already accepted that you do not have to be an attorney to offer someone the opportunity to have an estate plan. But you do need to be aware that it is unlawful to represent that you are an attorney, and when in fact you aren't. And it's unlawful to manufacture those documents and sell them. That's not what you're doing. In our case, our programmers followed what the legal profession did years ago. We do it through Estate Docs Pro, and they invested millions of dollars and worked with respected estate planning attorneys to establish the language and the process, to our team of software developers who in turn built this software And the most important thing that I wanted you to see is this next sentence. It is built on the principle of decision tree programming. When I read that, I went, yeah, we need to understand what that is. Okay. This software is set up so it's so easy that when you answer the questions that are set aside for you inside the software or in the paper documents, when you answer the question that's asked, the software, because you click on the button, all the zeros and ones pop in and all that kind of good, cool underwriting stuff. Well, what happens is when you answer the question, the software goes in and pulls out what your trust needs to say because of the answer you gave. You're not practicing law when you do that. So simply put, how someone's answer questions directs the software on what format it's going to do. And that's the way law firms have produced documents for years. And then we add some bells and whistles, including how to get the trust funded. And so I'm gonna tell a little story on myself right here. I think you need to know this. Maybe a decade ago, people who were funding trusts were getting in trouble all over the United States. They were getting in trouble and I didn't get in trouble. I got fired. And I got fired because I refused to do what the people who were setting the appointments for me said to do. Because they were sending me to people who had existing trusts and telling me that I could only sell 2 or 3 different products, nothing else. And if I sold anything else, I was breaking my contract. And it didn't matter whether it fit that person's family or not. I was to sell their products. So I got fired. Sorry. So, and when I left that, I went, my gosh, what happened? What was that? And then I realized that and I was thinking about it today. There's a phrase that either good business is good ethics or good ethics is good business. And to be honest with you, I think good ethics is good business. And what would happen is in the trust mill situation, those agents were not allowed to properly diagnose the problem. They weren't allowed to go in and find out in advance what products would fit this family. And if you can't diagnose the problem, you sure can't write a prescription for the solution. So all I'm saying to you is you've got the email. I just want you to know that I wrote the Family Tree Asset Positioning Go-To First Interview because of what happened there a decade ago, and I just want to just explain it to you a little bit here. So let's look at that a second. Back here, for some reason, I got a screen out link there, but here's the deal. You may as well learn from someone who does this daily. I do it every day, and so I want you to understand what I do. I use a software that responds to the questions that I ask and develops the product appropriately to the state that I'm functioning in. And this software can function in all 50 states according to that state's laws. This morning I talked to a gentleman in South Carolina that if he wanted to, he could go into North Carolina and do a North Carolina estate plan. He could come into Tennessee and do a Tennessee estate plan. He could go into Georgia and do a Georgia estate plan, or Texas, or Washington, or California. You want to do this, but only if you think adding estate planning to your products and services is a good idea. And that what I'm trying to challenge you and make you realize it is a great idea. It's like riding a wave in the ocean, and the wave is coming up. And if you want to be, you can be on the top of the surfboard and you can be rolling. And it's been sparked by COVID-19, by all the pandemic things that have been going on. People are staying at home. Their lives have changed. Their health has changed. It affected their assets. It affected their relationships. So my question is, are you going to be in the sweet spot, or will you let someone take that away from you? And And if you have, it doesn't matter if you have 10 clients or 100 clients, those clients are waiting on you. They don't even know they're waiting on you. But they'll realize that you are doing something that deep in their mind, they want you to do. They want you to talk to them. And they want you to show them what they might not know about their current estate plan. And all I'm saying to you is, why don't you do the due diligence your clients expect you to do? And as I said a few months ago, you may as well learn from someone who does this every day, who wants to take the time to teach you the process. I've got cases sitting on my desk right now that are just simply amazing developments from the simple approach. Hey, if you talk to me, you might learn something you weren't aware of about your estate plan. Just amazing things. Hundreds of thousands of dollars involved. You know, and the reason they liked it that I approached them, because they had failed to plan it into their busy schedule, and I just stopped them long enough to say, hey, why don't we just take a few minutes and whip out a piece of paper and let's draw your family tree a little bit and see how that affects see how your family dynamics affects your personal financial plan. So they're all going to want to know what they might not know about their current plan. And if you're good at it, that's what you'll have them thinking. What do you know? What does Randy know about my current estate plan that I don't know? And you know, if you're thinking about adding this to your portfolio, this is the surest route to success. This is the easiest way to go in and recontact all your clients. It's the easiest way to get referrals from your clients. It's the easiest way to start a new business when you don't have clients. But helping someone learn what they do not know about something that is always on the back of their mind, they're going to think you're pretty special. Then show them an easy way to choose the right people to represent them when they are unable to speak for themselves. This is why you want to explain the process in reverse. That's what I want to talk to you about. First, you get permission to draw the family tree. Then you confirm their current estate plan status. You ask them if they have a will or a trust, or are they in the government plan. And then you review the costs from outside sources. And you let them know that if they went to an attorney, it might cost them $3,000 to $6,000. Then you talk about the advanced care directives. You get their mindset straight on the need and desire. And yeah, that means that I'm going to get them to picture themselves laying on a table in a hospital, unable to speak, and maybe in a coma or vegetative state. I'm going to do that first. I'm not going to talk to them about how fancy a trust is, because that's going to confuse them, but they're not going to be confused about being on that table. And then I'm talking to them about the healthcare power of attorney, because I want to illustrate future vulnerability. If you're in that spot, who in this family tree that we drew do you want to help make those decisions? And most people pick their wives. And so I look at them and say, great, you picked your wife. And what if you and your wife were both on that table? Who else would you pick? And they'll look at that drawing and they'll tell you, and most of the time, almost all the time, that other person's on that drawing, on that family tree illustration. Same thing for the financial power of attorney, but it's a little different. When you go back up and say, well, the healthcare power of attorney illustrates future vulnerability, and the financial power of attorney discusses is set up for disabilities not ending in death. Well, that's for finances. Future health vulnerability, finances. For over will. This is for a disability and illness and accidents that end in death. And when I did one this morning already, the same person was picked every time, and it was very simple. They picked mom and the stepdaughter, mom and the stepdaughter, mom and the stepdaughter, all the way down. Trustee, everything. You know, then if you do those things, then you've got their mind open to what a revocable trust can do. And for those who want their estate plan to be controlled by their personal wishes and with little or no input from the probate court. But it's like a waltz or a dance. You gotta take them from the beginning all the way through the process and work on them wanting or acknowledging the fact that maybe they don't have the proper paperwork. And when you have this conversation in that order, I promise you, you'll have little or no resistance from your clients and prospects. Because one, they're sitting there right in front of each other, and I call it the cycle of success, but you may want to look at it like the triangle of success, because you got dad on your left and mom on your right, and you've got them in a coma, and you've got them picking the people and talking about what the problems are ahead of time. Before one thing about the trust mills, they never gave them the opportunity to make their own decisions. They just said, here, buy this annuity. The Family Estate software makes this easy to implement. So let's take a look at how it works. I found in the past that those who emulate my process are more successful than those who innovate too soon. So everything that I'm talking to you about, the sales process, the software, for $495, you can buy the software for $495, but anywhere probably, but you can't get the sales presentation and the sales training with it for free. It's just not, sorry to all you programmers out there, but it's not fair to say, but the computer geeks can't they can't present this in a way a professional salesperson can do it, but they can make the software work, and they did. Sorry, Frank, if you're tuning in, I didn't mean to say that about you. But anyway, it's easy to learn, easy to use, easy to print, and easy to amend. And when you follow the terms of the end user agreement, you're not practicing law. You're coaching your client to make the decisions that are theirs to make. That's different. And you're going into that setup so that if you answer the question they ask you, it designs the internal parts of the estate plan for you, and it's written by attorneys. And all those people need is someone to approach it correctly. And present the concept in an easy to understand format that helps them see how to make their own decisions. That's a talent, and it's a talent you can learn. So these things we have to go through the implementation and they start off sets the stage for the interview. This is where 10 years ago companies started getting in trouble, because the person that was going in was trying to make the sale in the first interview without understanding the family dynamics. You were taught to just go in and flip through the estate plan like you were looking at it and seeing how pretty it was and everything, but not actually diving into why it was, what it was, and how they made their decisions. So again, it's the use of the family tree asset positioning go-to first interview and the implementation of the Family Estate Doc software that sets the stage for the funding interview. And that's where you make the most money, and that's where you help the families the most. So when we talk about the software, we're talking about two basic choices. You can have it for $49.95, or you can have it, you can pay it annually, save $100 if you do it annually for $495. And I'll be honest with you, I have a much higher success experience from those who make the annual commitment to implement the process, because they commit to learning, and they want to get the return on their investment quicker. If you're doing the $49.95, I'll treat you just like you paid the annual subscription. I'll teach you and train you. The only difference, really the only difference, is the first day of every month, I start a new 90-day challenge. And this is, if you have a whole fleet of agents, if you have a whole downline, maybe 50, 60, 70 agents, or 20 agents, or just 4 or 5, if you want to teach them to create sales for your agency, teach them one sales presentation and then put them in what I call the 90-day challenge. And during that 90-day challenge, if you follow the roadmap that I'll provide for you and make good choices, you'll be writing business within 60 days, depending on your commitment. You know, if you just learn what I teach and if you emulate before you innovate. And sometimes I think that's the hardest thing for people to do. But, you know, I can teach you how to go in and eliminate all objections in advance. I can go in and teach you how to eliminate all products that will not work because of either health or asset base or whatever. And I will show you in this presentation how to actually diagnose a true problem that your client will tell you about if you do the family tree asset positioning go-to first interview. They will tell you what the issues are. And once they tell you what the issues are, they can't hardly tell you why they don't want to take care of it, especially if they tell you, I don't want this issue to be a problem. I would like to solve it. What do we do? And you need to get them to say that before you offer a product. And then you got to be able to offer the correct product to take care of that. And that's why I'm saying, if you learn to make a correct diagnosis, you'll be able to use the right product in the form of a prescription for the solution. So anyway, if you want to sign up, you know, you can go to Family Estate Doc. I'd love to have you. You know, if you come in, expect to be taught the vocabulary, expect to be offered the opportunity to learn the sales presentation. If you have, like I said, if you have a downline, let's train all your agents to go out and say the same thing to everybody. And here's what happens. The front end sale, you can make up to $1,000. You'll have some expenses. You'll have a credit card fee. You'll have some paper some nice paper you'll have to buy and a book you'll have to buy. But it's in the presentation and the delivery of the estate plan that sets the stage for the back end sale. And what I do when I teach you the sales presentation, I use power phrases like, I'm a firm believer that your current health situation is a primary factor in your investment decisions. Would you agree? And like, I'll be a better advisor for you if I can understand the dynamics in your family. And while we're talking about it, you might learn things you weren't aware of in your estate plan. And things like, you know, let's talk about your income a little bit. And let's start with the income not tied to assets, your Social Security and your pension. Let's find out if you have an income gap, which means you've got this income coming in that might be $4,000 and you've got $5,000 worth of expenses. You've got a $1,000 gap that looks like it's going to last the rest of your life. Why don't we set up an income plan that will also last the rest of your life and close that gap forever? And if that's what they want to do, and then you look at them and say, you know, you've done a pretty good job with your assets, and I've got some ideas for you, but I need to do a little research first, and I need to run some numbers for you. When you come back in next week to pick up this estate plan that we're going to set up for you, would you like to see your numbers? And, you know, I don't think I've ever had somebody tell me no. Nobody. They all want to see their numbers. So that's what we teach in the sales presentation. We make it affordable to go ahead and set up their estate plan. You make a front-end sale that averages close to $900 or $1,000 if you charge the full price, and you don't have to. It's up to you. And you get the back-end sale, which is the proper funding of that estate plan. And this presentation even acknowledges the fact that you might run into somebody that already has an estate plan. That's okay, because the odds are that that estate plan that they already have is probably, in most cases, not properly funded. And It may be an older estate plan where they've had relationship changes, they've had asset changes, they may have even had health changes that affect their decisions. And some people make a lot of changes in their estate plan once they have a health diagnosis that's not very favorable. And when you find that out and show them that they can make that change and you can do that change, they don't have to go see that attorney they talked to 10 years ago who might not even be alive. You know, you can restate their trust right there for them with this software. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So you get the front end sale, you get and I'm going to tell you the most important thing and probably the most profitable thing of this whole thing. Yes, you get the front end sale. Yes, you get the back end sale. And if you service this family correctly and stay in touch with them as they go through their relationship changes and their asset changes and their health changes, you get something else. You get all future sales. And then when something happens to them, they're not going to call their attorney. They're not going to call their stockbroker. They're not going to call their life insurance agent. I'll tell you who they're going to call. They're going to call the person that set up the estate plan. And the question is going to be, how does this affect my estate plan? Do we cover this issue? And you're going to be able to say, yes, let's open it up and look at it and see what we need to do. And they're going to go, gosh, I was hoping you'd say that. So, you know, but you got to learn how to do it.
Do you have a list of 10 suspects, people that you think would benefit from a conversation about their current estate plan? If you don't, you know, some people are working way too hard at this. And then I find out that they haven't studied the end user agreement. They haven't studied the sales presentation. They haven't studied, they haven't made a list of suspects that they can approach. And those are all mindset issues. If you have a lousy mindset, you're never going to grow. So you know, what I try to do is get, you know, I don't try to get you to learn it all. It took me 30 years to learn it all. But, you know, I do need to teach you how to take the first steps or how to move forward professionally and what to do. So, you know, if you don't have 10 suspects, why? Just why? So the next thing is have you actually spent time learning the presentation? You know, people call me with problems all the time, and almost every time it's easy for me to diagnose they haven't learned the presentation. You should be able to close 9 or 10 out of the people that agree to have an appointment with you. 9 or 10, 90% will want to talk to you about their estate plan. I had somebody tell me today that, oh, they had a couple on the fence, and I wanted to look at them, and I go, you know, why are they on the fence? Or do they not love their family? Do they not want to take care of each other? Do they not want, you know, and our presentation leads them through all that in a very professional, no stress way that they can follow the family tree and follow your agenda. And if you ask those questions correct, how can they say no? Well, the reasons are, one, they don't love their family. They don't have the money. And they don't believe in what you're doing because you didn't follow the agenda. If you get them to follow the agenda, they will believe what you're doing, and it's true. The next thing is having faith in what you're doing. You're not practicing.
Hey, Randy.
Yes, go ahead.
This is Carter.
Yeah, Carter.
I want to add one more thing to that list. Is that you fail to recognize the buying signals.
Absolutely, Carter. And people will tell you the buying signals. And one of the buying signals that I like is when they start putting their fingers in the holes in the family tree. And they start telling me about this.
That's what happened to me last Thursday night. They just started pointing and talking. I said, okay, let's get this plan done. Got the money. Got the estate sold.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. You know, if you haven't taken the agenda and put it on your letterhead, what are you waiting on? Because that agenda, if you will follow it, will lead you through the exact decision process that these people need to go through. Now, most people that call me and say, I'm having a problem or I've got an issue or somebody doesn't want this thing after they paid for it, it's because you didn't follow the presentation. You know, the next thing is have you learned the value in discussing the gaps and cliffs? When you talk about gaps and cliffs with your clients and watch their faces and watch the dominant one or the healthy one, look at the sick one if there is a sick one, and say, hey, this is a problem. We need to take care of it. And then one of the most power phrases that I use is, hey, you've done a good job with your money. Don't you think you need to have the proper paperwork? You know, and if you don't get them to agree to that, don't write them up. Don't try to get them to buy trust. Get them to say, yes, we need to have the proper paperwork. And you know what? That's one of the power phrases, and it's in the script. And you know, don't skip it. Don't skip it at all. You know, if you're not making the number of sales you want, I have to make the assumption that people are here today because they want to raise their income. And you know, and if you don't believe me, don't waste your time with these things. If you believe, you know, if you believe in what I've got to say, go do it. It works. I wish I had more time in the day to go do it more often, because I know I'm changing people's lives, and I know that they know that they're taking care of their families. So anyway, the only other thing that last thing I want to talk to you is be good at it. That's all you have to do is be good at it. Want to be good at it. Perform it. Because every time you use a power phrase, if you don't have a list of power phrases, let us know. At least I think it's what the lesson 24 in the 30-day email. I give you every power phrase in that presentation. And a power phrase is a closing phrase that people will agree with you. As soon as they agree with you, say, don't you think this is, you know, you've done a good job with everything. Don't you think you need to have the right paperwork? That's the perfect close in an estate plan. You don't have to show them what you know. You don't have to prove anything to them. You just have, ask them a question. Hey, your estate plan doesn't work the way you want it to, does it? You know, so you know, the licensees that I work with that make a lot of money are just as simple-minded as me. They just do what works, and they repeat it as many times as possible. And they try to set the stage for the power phrases to work.
Randall, I've just checked, and the power phrases are chapter 24, page 46.
Okay. So you know, if you want that, send us an email. Tell Lisa to, you know, right now, just go to the chat room, and Lisa, you can send it to them, can't you?
Yes, sure.
Why don't you send the power phrases to everybody that's in the meeting today?
Okay, I will do.
Except phone 2. We don't know who phone 2 is, do we?
Yes, if they would tell us, it would be great.
Hey, phone 2. All right, but anyway, you know, get involved. You know, if you don't believe in what you're doing, go do something else. You know, but if you want to make some money, lead your clients and your prospects through the decision process that lets them tell you, I need to do this for my family. I need to do this for my children and my grandchildren. That's all you need to do. So I'm, you know, I'm not fussing at you. I'm just trying to say, you know, go watch The Wizard of Oz and do what the Scarecrow says. And he says, follow the yellow brick road. Everything we do shows you the path to the $500,000 sale or the $400,000 sale. My average sale is a little over $250,000 per family. At times 6 or 7%, depending on the company, or sometimes 8. Now, the question is, you got to want that. And if you want it, why not take the easy route? Why not just follow the yellow brick road? Follow the sales presentation, follow the agenda, follow the power phrases, have the confidential, set up the second appointment. If you're doing it right, you'll have trouble. You have to make a decision on, do I do more first appointments or do I cut back on my first appointments so I can have second appointments? I'm going to promise you, you're going to want to cut back on your first appointments so that you can get to your second appointments. That's my problem right now. I have to schedule my second appointments out 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks ahead of time. It gives me the opportunity to let them have their pillow talk. And when I go in, they're ready for me. They've thought about what needs to be done. They know if one of them's sick, the healthy ones talk to them about it. They've looked at their loss. If you do the gaps in the cliffs correctly, they'll see the loss. The one who's sick will not want the one they love to suffer through that. So that's just all I wanted to say today. You have to have the right approach. There's two kinds of approach. One is the approach on how you make an appointment to convert a suspect to a prospect. And the other approach is, how do you do business? How do you look at what you're trying to do here? Are you in control? Are you following what's going on? Or are you just kind of flapping through it? That's the difference between a good producer and a producer that's not making a lot of money. Because the producers that follow what we do make a lot of money. But anyway, are there any other questions?
Yes, Randall. iPhone is Kendall. He mentioned so in the comments.
Hey,
And
Kendall.
And Eddie said, "Hey, Randy, I bought an agent to the class on Monday. She wants to sign up." And I did notice that we had a new lady and I couldn't find her name on the database. So now I know who she is.
Okay. Yeah, I saw her Monday. Eddie, if you don't know how to sign her up on your website, call Win and Win will coach you through it. Let Win put her phone number in here real quick. Hold on. She'll help you. You're a master licensee, and if you become a master licensee, we'll train you. All we ask, only thing I'll ask of you is ask her to do what we teach. Ask her to follow what we say. In the book I wrote, Approach, Plan, Succeed, I talk about an old soldier that lives in a ditch during World War I, and a new soldier jumps in the ditch with him and says, "How come you've been here so long?" And the old soldier says, "Well, if you do what I say and follow me correctly, I'll see to it that you grow and prosper. But if you don't want to do that, I'm going to ask you to poke your head up and look around before I leave the ditch." Because that person's not going to last very long because they don't follow directions. So just try to follow the lead. Just follow the lead, folks. I'll lead you to $250,000 and $500,000 incomes. Do it your way, and you probably be like that new soldier who doesn't make it out of the ditch because you'll do it wrong. Because and listen, folks, I've already done it wrong enough times to know how to do it right. That's all I'm trying to say to you. And I've left you a roadmap, step-by-step thing to follow that'll guarantee that you don't get taken out when you come out of the ditch and that you survive and prosper. Are there any more questions? I'll let you go. Okay. Hey, Randy. Yeah, okay. I saw that with Eddie. Okay.
Yeah.
There's Wynn's phone number. Okay. Anything else?
Nothing more in the
Okay.
chat.
Folks, get serious with your business. If you're floundering around and don't have the income you want, just get serious with it. And when you do, you'll find that the roadmap's right there in front of you. 10 suspects. Build the bridge to make them a prospect. Learn the one sentence you need to say. I think you would benefit from a conversation with me about your current estate plan. Hand them the agenda so that they know that you're in control and they want you to be in control. Follow the sales presentation. Use your power phrases and then close them with, "You've done a great job with your assets. Don't you think we ought to have the right paperwork?" They'll say, "Yeah." Set the appointment for 1 week later. Make your delivery. They'll be excited about it. They'll want a back end sale. And the only thing you can do is kill it with lack of confidence. That's the only problem you can have. So That's all I got. I hope everybody has a happy Halloween. We don't have more classes. We have recruiting classes the rest of the week. How many recruits did we pick up this week? 6? 5 new recruits this week. Not counting yours, Eddie. And you know what we're requiring them to do? Something that we didn't require the newer recruits to do. We're requiring them to attend the classes on Monday, go through the process. And when we find out that somebody's not following the program, we just let them exist because they don't think their time is worth doing what we teach. And we have to spend our time with profitable licensees. And the best way for me to find out if somebody's a profitable licensee is I'll look down and go, do they have 10 suspects on their spreadsheet? And if somebody tells me no, I'll go, are they wanting to schedule my time? Tell them that if they can schedule my time, if they'll get a list of 10 suspects, and I'll help them. And I promise you I'll get you through it. I got 10 suspects. I hope you do too. Any other questions?
Eddie was just saying, can we please text Wynn's number to him?
Well, I just put it on the chat room.
I am not at my office.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
Eddie, is it okay if we email it to you?
Okay, that would be fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
I've just emailed it.
All right, my friend. Eddie, it's always good to see you here. You know that. You're my friend. Any other questions?
Nothing more in the chat, Randall.
Hey, if you live in Florida, there's a real good chance you can make a lot of money if you do this. If you live in California, it's everywhere. You can help anybody you want to. If you live in Maryland, you can talk to anybody. Ask Carter Nelson. He lives in Knoxville and he does it. And Kendall, I think you're where? Atlanta? Maybe? There's a couple million people down there that'd love to talk to you. But anyway, I'm gonna go. Got across town. Just want to go home, just like you. But you have to know when you've had a good day. And there's a lecture that I put on my website called Having a Money Day. A money day is when you go out and write business with one person, and because you've had successful with one person, you're going to be successful with the next one. And a money day ought to be worth $20,000, $30,000 to you. And all you need is 2 or 3 money days a month. And that means probably one day dedicated to the back end sale each week.
I've just put the link to that video in the chat, Randall. How to have a
Thank you.
money day.
Lisa's wonderful. Okay. That's all I got to say unless you have any more questions.